Right now, there is a place where your engine burns fuel with absolutely no benefit, no miles, no progress, no destination getting closer, no real work being done, just fuel disappearing. And most drivers do it every single day without even realizing they have been trained into the habit. They do it in the driveway. They do it in school pickup lines. They do it at drive-thrus. They do it in parking lots. They do it outside grocery stores. They do it while warming up an engine that did not ask to be warmed up that way in the first place. And if you add all of those tiny moments together, you do not get a small number. You get a second fuel bill. That is the part no one wants you thinking about. Because the cheapest way to save fuel is usually not a product, not an additive, not a device you plug into the OBD port, not a magic magnet, not a miracle fluid. It is a habit, a brutally simple, embarrassingly cheap habit. A habit Japanese eco-driving programs have pushed for years because it works whether your engine is big, small, old, new, 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, gas, or diesel. The trick costs about $2, sometimes less. And the only reason it sounds stupid is because the fuel industry has trained people to respect expensive solutions and laugh at cheap ones. That is exactly backwards. Because the Japanese trick is not about making your engine more powerful. It is about stopping your engine from burning fuel when it does not need to be burning any at all. The trick is this. Use a cheap $2 timer, tag, sticker, or a dashboard reminder to break the idling habit and force one simple rule into your life. If you are not moving, your engine should not be drinking. That is it. That is the secret. And yes, it sounds too simple. Good. Simple is what people skip. Simple is what people mock. Simple is what saves the most money because nobody has monetized it hard enough to make it feel important. By the end of this script, you will understand why this works, why Japanese eco-driving has treated idling like a fuel leak for years, why modern engines do not need long warm-up idling, why your short waits are costing more than you think, and why one cheap reminder can cut wasted fuel use by 90% or more in the exact moments where engines are at their dumbest. Let me make that last part clear. This title is written in the dramatic style these channels use. No, your engine is not going to use 90% less fuel in every situation, at every speed, under every load. That is not how reality works. But in the category of fuel that gets burned while the car is doing nothing useful, yes, that waste can absolutely collapse when you kill the idling habit. And that is where the real money is hiding. Here is the first lie most drivers still believe. My engine needs to sit and warm up for a long time before I drive. That myth is ancient, and it is expensive. Honda's own guidance says it plainly. A cold engine uses more fuel than a warm engine, but it is not necessary to warm up a cold engine by letting it idle for a long time. You can drive away in about a minute, no matter how cold it is outside, and the engine will warm up faster that way while giving better fuel economy. Read that again. Better fuel economy by driving, not sitting. Faster warm up by moving, not idling. The old warm-up ritual feels responsible because your parents did it, your neighbors do it, and winter makes people emotional. But emotions are not fuel maps. Engines do not reward nostalgia. They reward thermodynamics. And thermodynamics is ruthless. If the engine is idling, it is consuming fuel to overcome internal friction, keep accessories turning, maintain combustion, and create heat. But it is not moving the car. So your effective miles per gallon at that moment is not low. It is zero. Zero. That should bother you. Because once you understand that, the entire culture of just let it run for a while starts to look insane. And Japanese eco-driving programs figured this out a long time ago. One official eco-driving recommendation in Japan explicitly includes idling stop and notes that 10 minutes of engine idling with the air conditioner off wastes about 130 cc of fuel. Now, most people hear 130 cc and shrug because it sounds tiny. That is the trap. Tiny times repeated daily become large numbers. 10 minutes here, 7 minutes there, 5 minutes waiting for someone to come outside, 4 minutes at a drive-thru, 8 minutes in winter because I'm just letting it get warm. You stack those mistakes across weeks, months, and years, and suddenly you are not talking about a small leak. You are talking about habitual waste, and the U.S. Department of Energy makes the scale even uglier. It says more than 6 billion gallons of gasoline and diesel combined are lost to idling every year across U.S. road vehicles. 6 billion. That is not a rounding error. That is a culture problem, and culture problems are exactly what cheap tricks solve best, because they are not mechanical problems. They are behavioral ones. That is why the two-trick matters. Not because the timer itself is magic, because habits need friction. People do not stop wasting fuel because they hear one fact in a video. They stop when something interrupts the autopilot. That is what the timer does. That is what the sticker does. That is what the key tag reminder does. It creates a tiny break in the unconscious routine. You pull into a parking spot, you stop, the car is still running. Normally you would let it sit there because it feels harmless, but now there is a little reminder staring at you from the dash that says idle, archery, Yaker 0, MPG, or move or kill it, or 30 seconds. Then decide. That is the whole trick. The Japanese part is not the sticker. The Japanese part is the mindset. Treat idling like waste. Treat fuel like something you respect. Treat every unnecessary second of combustion as money leaving your wallet for no useful reason. That is eco-driving in plain English. And it gets better. Because once you break the idle habit, other waste starts becoming obvious too. Short trips, cold starts, unnecessary AC use while parked, sitting with the engine on while checking your phone, waiting outside somewhere because restarting feels annoying. All of it begins to look ridiculous. Honda's fuel economy guidance goes even further. It says to combine short trips into one because a cold engine uses more fuel than a warm engine, and cutting down the number of cold starts improves economy. It also points out that underinflated tires increase rolling resistance and use more fuel. Source. That is the deeper lesson. The fuel you waste is rarely wasted in one dramatic place. It leaks out through stupid little habits. And idling is the dumbest one because it gives you nothing back. At least hard acceleration gives you speed. At least highway driving gives you distance. At least hauling cargo gives you utility. Idling gives you noise. That is it. Noise and heat and a smaller fuel budget. Now here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. The fuel economy conversation is packed with distractions. People argue about expensive premium fuel they do not need. They buy fuel saver gadgets. They dump miracle liquids into the tank. They obsess over brand myths and social media nonsense. Meanwhile, the simplest savings are sitting right in front of them. Stop letting the engine run when it does not have a job. Keep the tires inflated properly. Do not warm up modern engines for 10 minutes like it is 1978. Fix the check engine light. Use the recommended motor oil. Those are not opinions. The U.S. government's fuel economy guidance says properly inflated tires can improve gas mileage on average, up to around 3% in some cases, and using the manufacturer's recommended oil can help too. It also says replacing a clogged air filter on modern fuel-injected gasoline cars generally does not improve MPG, which destroys one of the most repeated garage myths on the internet. That matters because it tells you where the real gains are. Not in fantasy, in maintenance and driving behavior. That is why the two trick works so well. It points you toward the one category you control instantly. Not next service interval, not next paycheck, not next month, today, right now. The next time you start the car, the next time you park and wait, the next time winter tells you to let it idle because it feels safer. If you kill a 10-minute idle and turn it into 1 minute, you just cut that waste by 90%. That is where the title comes from. Not from magic, from subtraction. The easiest fuel to save is the fuel you stop wasting completely. And any engine can do that. Any engine. Because no engine becomes more efficient by sitting still and drinking. Now let us talk about the psychology of why people resist this. People hate restarting engines because it feels like effort. They hate silence because it makes them think the car is off-duty. They confuse activity with necessity. If the engine is running, it must be helping. No, sometimes it is just burning. And once you see that clearly, you start noticing the most absurd scenes everywhere. Cars idling outside coffee shops, cars idling while waiting for one text message, cars idling in winter parking lots for 15 straight minutes, cars idling while someone sits inside scrolling with the climate control on full blast. And every one of those drivers thinks fuel economy is something complicated. It is not complicated. It is arithmetic. Fuel burned without movement is waste. That is the equation. And this is exactly why a stupid little $2 reminder is more powerful than most expensive solutions. Because it attacks the behavior at the moment it happens, not after, not in a spreadsheet, not in an app you forget to open, at the exact point where the waste begins. So here is exactly how to use it. Buy the cheapest timer, tag, or adhesive reminder you can find. $2 is enough. Put it where your eyes naturally go when stopped. On the dash, near the start button, on the steering column, on the visor, anywhere visible. Then make one rule. If you are stopped longer than a short traffic pause, decide consciously. Either drive or shut it off, not emotionally, consciously. If you are waiting for someone, shut it off. If you are early, shut it off. If you are parked, shut it off. If you are warming it up, give it about a minute, then drive gently. If you are stacking errands, combine them. If you are in winter, stop pretending long idle sessions are kindness. They are not kindness. They are combustion with no mileage. And if you really want to go full Japanese eco drive with it, add the second layer. Smooth acceleration, constant speed, proper tire pressure, no unnecessary cargo, no endless cold starts, and no clownish bursts of throttle between red lights. Japanese eco-driving programs and mainstream owner guidance keep repeating the same lesson because it works. Smoothness saves fuel, idling wastes it, and rolling resistance matters. So if you want the shortest version of this entire script, here it is. The secret is not a chemical. It is not a gadget. It is not a hidden valve, mystery button, or forbidden engine hack. It is a cheap interruption to a stupid habit, a $2 reminder that forces you to stop feeding an engine when it is doing nothing for you. That is why it works in any engine, because every engine wastes fuel at idle, and every driver who breaks that habit gets the same benefit. Less fuel burned, less money wasted, less heat, less pointless combustion. And suddenly the gas station stops feeling like a place you must visit quite so often. Not because you changed physics, because you finally stopped insulting it.